Welcome to another video. Today we'll talk a little bit more about crypto safety and also about attack vectors and how you can stay safe and not lose your funds. So the first thing I want to mention here is so the first decision you can make more or less is you can either have your XRP, your crypto in general, you can have it on an exchange, like for example Coinbase, Binance, Uphold or whatever. Or you could have it on your own wallet, so your own account. Well, it's called personal and also custodial / non-custodial accounts. So that's the first differentiation we're going to make. If you have your XRP on an exchange, then the exchange is managing it for you, and it's more or less governed by them. So they have their account. We can also look it up, for example, for XRP, why not? Let's go to the XRP scan website and just enter here Coinbase. And if you buy XRP on Coinbase, nothing on the blockchain changes. And see here that this Coinbase account, for example, has only 3,000 XRP, but they've got obviously multiple wallets, and some of them have, for example, whatever, 2.4 million XRP. And the thing here is that if you buy XRP on an exchange, you get your XRP IOU by the exchange. So on the blockchain itself, nothing changes. So the state of the XRP ledger doesn't change. And it's okay if you have your crypto on an exchange, but the important part there is you have to trust the exchange. So you must more or less, it's beneficial if, for example, the company has the headquarters in your country. Maybe it is easier to take legal action and all of that. And so the most famous example of an exchange which has gone bad is Mt. Gox. So and all the people losing the Bitcoin. So the thing I can highlight here is that it depends on the exchange, and if you trust them, if you know that they've taken good security measures, and also it depends on the amount, how much crypto you have. If it's lower, some exchanges may also, I'm not sure quite if all of them offer it, but many of them have also insured the funds. Some of them are certified by certain security standards, and this is more or less in the evaluation you have to do yourself. Now let's go to the other possibility of having your personal custodial or non-custodial wallet. So I would always recommend getting a custodial wallet, because otherwise it doesn't add anything or any of security layers. Because you can also, there are wallets out there which are, for example, acting like Coinbase more or less. So they are also having access to your wallet. So you have the private key to the wallet. You also have it, but it's more or less you're also dependent on them. So if something goes wrong on their end, so let's say that their server gets hacked, or the server they have a data leak and hackers are able to invade it, then your funds might be also compromised. So definitely recommend getting your personal non-custodial wallet. And there are multiple ones out there. So the ones I've used so far, or have been working with so far, were this one you know probably, the Atomic wallet. So the Atomic wallet supports lots of different cryptos, so it's a more, well, it's a general wallet. Then we've got, for example, also the Exodus wallet. It's available, I think, on PC, also for the phone, so you have to look it up. And for example, also only XRP wallet and XRP and issued currencies on the XRP ledger, some wallet, for example. So you can look it up yourself. So there are multiple wallets out there, and now let's get a little bit more to understand how these wallets work. So each of these wallets does one thing for you. They do store for you your mnemonic. So usually when you generate a wallet, so well, let's say when you generate your mnemonic, so an account more or less on one of these applications here, you get 12, 16, or 24 words. With the Sum wallet, there's a difference here. You can also, in the Sum wallet, if you generate an XRP account in the Sum wallet, you get a well, let's call it numbers matrix. So you get something like whatever, there are just some numbers, and it's like whatever 8 times 6 rows or something like that. So whatever, it's like one of these here, okay? So this is just the this only gives you access to one single XRP account. Now the different thing here with all these other wallets is that they offer you when you generate your wallet. So if you click on whatever generate, they give you a mnemonic. And the mnemonic are 12, 16, or 24 words. So for example, also you could use, one distinction I'm going to make here is that all of these are software wallets. So I'm going to also, maybe I'm just going to adjust that quickly. Because we've got one more distinction, like I just said, with software and hardware wallets. So I'm just going to add that here, and let's say here are the software wallets. I know the graph is not that beautiful, but yeah, it shall do. Okay, so we've got software wallets. So all of these here are software wallets, and then we've got another part, the so-called hardware wallets. So what's the difference here? The difference is where so I'm just gonna highlight now the mnemonic a little bit more here. So the access and the atomic wallet both generate, when you first generate your account, give you a mnemonic. And I'm also gonna use a website now to illustrate that a little bit more. As you can see here, that if you, for example, let's say 12 words, for example, atomic gives you something like this. Gives you out of the BIP39 standard list, so this list contains about 2048 words, and out of this list you get 12 words. And these 12 words, so if you derive it, you can derive from these 12 words, or 16 out of 24 words, you can derive the seed, so the BIP seed. But let's continue here. So this is the most important part. That's what some people call private key. It's a little bit harder for that, because this is like the base info. So this is let's call it your master key for everything. So from this information you can derive unlimited accounts for any different cryptocurrency, okay? So this you could really call your master key. From this key you could derive all your whatever child keys. So the parent key, and then multiple child keys, whatever. Or you can also call it the master key here, okay? And the idea is that you have the mnemonic, and now let's go a little bit more into detail. We covered hardware and software wallets, and the difference here is that a software wallet runs, for example, on your phone or on your computer, more or less. That's obvious. So the thing here is, where does the signing happen? Okay, so the question here is, from the mnemonic you can derive accounts. For example, let's say we want to derive an XRP account. So then I can derive from this mnemonic, I can derive unlimited accounts here, and I can derive, for example, so that this is a derivation path. I've got, for example, the first account here, and I've got a public and a private key. And the difference with hardware and software wallets is, where does the signing happen? So both applications, the software wallet and the hardware wallet, stores your mnemonic on. So the software wallet stores a mnemonic on, for example, on the computer or on your phone in the file system, and the hardware wallet stores the mnemonic on the hardware wallet, so on the device itself. So the usually a hardware wallet is a own device. So I'm just gonna also highlight it here afterwards. So I'm just gonna mark here hardware wallet. Let's use a different color. And two very famous hardware wallets are, well, the Ledger Nanos. So I'm using these. So I think they're having S, X, and whatever. They've got even a new device. I'm not familiar with what it's called. And then the other thing is, they've got another, there's the other competitor, the Trezor devices. And those two are hardware wallets. And the difference here is, like I said, they're also storing the mnemonic on the device. But the difference is, in this case, it's not on the file system, on a computer or on a phone. In this case, it's on an external device, which sole purpose is to sign. So it's, for example, one of these things here. So it's the Trezor. And also, we can also go to the Ledger website quickly. We can see here that the Ledger Nano devices look like this. And these things, the only thing they can do is, like I said, they can store your mnemonic, so they store that. On the device, there's not your balance. The balance is not in the device. The info, how much XRP or how much whatever ETH or BNB or whatever you have, that is stored on the distributed ledger. So these infos are stored on the nodes, okay? These things you could consider, these things more or less like clients. So it contains now a mnemonic. And the idea is that when you have a sign request, then, so when you want to sign something, for example, let's say you want to send 20 XRP to whatever, to my account. Then you've got a transaction looks something like this, so type payment, so there are just some fields, it looks like this, and so on. So there are just multiple fields. You know what, I'm also going to look this quickly up. Let's go to the xrpl website. Then I'm going to show you what a transaction more or less looks like. Payment, so like this. So this is what the JSON of a transaction looks like, yeah? And you can say from where is it being sent and to where is it being sent and which currency. It could be XRP, but also an issued currency. And now this is going to be submitted to the XRP ledger. But there's a big but. If you are gonna submit it without signing it, the XRP ledger is gonna say nope, you are not the owner of the account and you didn't sign it. So how could you make sure that you are you more or less? And I'm gonna disregard it. And now the idea is now the owner of this account has to sign it, and that happens with obviously with an algorithm. And the idea is that if you use a software wallet, for example, then the signing happens, for example, on your phone. So the transaction is being sent to the Sum wallet. So I'm just going to copy and paste it here. This thing here is being sent, for example, to the Sum wallet, and it's showing up on your phone. Yep, do you want to make this transaction? Or should I just sign it? Then you swipe on the Sum wallet and sign it, and then it's being submitted to the public servers, and then it's being validated and done. So if you signed it correctly. And like I said, the signing happens in these cases on the computer or on the phone. And with the hardware wallet, it happens on the device itself. So in this case, the transaction is being sent to this device here without exposing the mnemonic. It's signing it and it's putting out the signed transaction blob. Okay, so it's just, let's say you just put in the transaction there. And so you send it to the device more or less. So this is being sent to the Trezor device. And then what comes out, there is like a hex transaction blob with so the XRP ledger can then validate if it has been signed correctly. And that's how these devices work. And the only difference here is that these devices are like kind of from the internet and all of that. You know, they don't have an internet connection, or just devices solely made for the purpose of storing a mnemonic, being able to install apps, and then signing, and then putting out the signed transaction. So that's the only purpose of these devices. And the other part here is these are running in the back on an operating system. So also these one here, obviously. But for example, like I said, on Android or iOS, so they're just an app on an iPhone or an Android phone or on the computer, and that's why they're considered a little bit less secure. So like I said, the sole purpose of any hardware software wallet is protecting your mnemonic. Okay, so all of them have the job keep these 12 words safe, so nobody shall know them. So that's the job. So for example, these words. So all of them are trying to make sure that nobody can extract them. And also in the computer, there are also not that many security vulnerabilities. Also, the code is usually open source and is also being audited. And in my opinion, obviously the safest version would be a hardware wallet. So having a device which is complete. So that's why it's also called cold storage, even though the only thing that is being stored on these devices is the mnemonic. The actual balance, your actual crypto is not on the device. Okay, it's also very important to understand. So your crypto is not stored on that device. The only thing that is stored on that device is this mnemonic and maybe also apps you install. So for example, on the Ledger on the S, you have to install the XRP app. And the XRP app is also open source. All right. And then the other part is there that this is also being stored, for example, on your computer with the Atomic wallet. But on the computer you have a PIN code, and with the PIN code, the entire user files are being encrypted. So the chances are also very low of hackers, even if they're able to seize the files, to decrypt it, because it's secure more or less with your code. And that's the general idea here. So yes, the problem would be here. Maybe our hackers able to, maybe hackers are able to get to your files, but even then, if they have your files of the Atomic wallet, they're not able more or less to decrypt it, like I said, because like I said, your mnemonic is encrypted, stored on your computer then or on your phone. So they are, in my opinion, also very safe. So let's say the only real danger I see here are people exposing their own mnemonic intentionally too lightly. So, for example, there are many scams out there which say, yep, yes, or some people pretend to be the Coinbase support. They tell you, yes, please give us your seed, then we can help you or something like that. And if you give them your seed, they can just import it into one of their software hardware wallets, and then they can just sign transactions in your name on your accounts. Okay, so the important part I want to tell you here is never expose your own mnemonic. Don't do that. If you do that, you might lose all your funds. So, and it's the same with, for example, with the sum map. I told you they're using a different format, the number matrix, and also for XRP there's the family seed. So from that you can derive a family seed for XRP. But the most important part is that one here is the master key. Never ever expose this one to anyone. Don't tell it anybody, and also don't store it online. So, for example, if you have Google Notes or something, then you wrote your mnemonic on there and it's stored in the cloud, it's also not that safe. So, I would also not recommend doing that. So that's the only part you have to be careful here. And also, please don't fall for the giveaway scams. There's whenever there are times which are more interesting, so more bullish, then they pop up again, and these giveaway scams always say, yep, the lawsuit has been settled with Ripple, and that's why we're doing a huge giveaway. Please send us whatever, for example, 500 XRP, and we're going to send you double back. And obviously, if you would look them up, so they give you an account address, if you would look them up, you can see that they never send anything back. It's always sad seeing like people losing lots of XRP to these kinds of scams, and whenever you see them, I always look it up and see sometimes 1, 2, 3, 4 people falling for that, and that's very unfortunate. Right, so my main message here is never ever share your mnemonic. That's important. That's a master key. Crypto is not stored on the device itself. Every hardware or software wallet, these are all clients. These are all clients that don't have the crypto on it. They're just able to check your balance. And also, they're able to submit transactions. So let's say you want to send XRP from your account to another one, then you're submitting a payment transaction to the XRP ledger. And right, I think these are all the interesting things, how all of it works. And I hope I explained that one here clearly. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.